Full disclosure, guys, I have never read the Preacher comics. It's something I've heard so many good things about that it's acclaimed, it's just dramatic, it's so fun to read, it's such an interesting concept. I really want to read it. But now that we're in the midst of this season and we're getting the story told out there, I'm going to wait until the show is done before I pick up all the books and actually read them. I know everyone's probably like, no, you should read the books, they're so good, they're so fun. I know, I believe you guys. I trust your opinion, and I do think they would be good to read. But we are in the midst of this television series, and I like television. And I do like comic books too. But I don't want this television show to be spoiled for me, and knowing what's going to happen next, it's just going to kind of ruin it for me. But I'm just so intrigued by this show. I want to see the show first, but I promise I'll go back and read the comics. And I will just, do a comparison probably. Who knows? That could be years from now. And yeah, they'll probably be up in price by then, but I'll do it, I swear. Preacher Season 2, the critically acclaimed first season, is back for another one. Back-to-back episodes, Sunday and Monday night. That's really cool. That was really awesome. Because I was so happy. I loved this premiere, and I loved the second episode. These are two very strong episodes I think are going to be one of the strongest seasons of television in this season. It's going to be really fun to watch. So now that you know I didn't read the books, this might be a little, interesting to see how I feel about characters that you might know about and that kind of stuff. The opening of this whole season, the road trip, taking place literally an hour after the events of season 1. I think that's really fascinating. This is a really good opening because we finally see the dynamic of these characters kind of turn from being in this big town just to being the three of them, this trio on the road. There was so much good stuff we saw from everyone, and it made me really happy to see. I think the standout of the first episode definitely was Ruth Negga, coming off her Oscar nomination. Tulip was such an interesting character because the first season, I feel like there was some stuff with her that kind of led nowhere and they didn't do many good things, but where she ended up by the end of this first episode, I really liked. The way that she doesn't really kind of like Genesis and she feels like it's an invasion of privacy, it's an invasion of space, it's not really used in a good way, and I completely understand where she's coming from. But if you're Dominic Cooper, if you're Jesse, you're like, this is the coolest thing in the world, and it chose me to be the host, so I'm going to use it for good and try to find God. We're on a mission to find God. There's so much symbolism in the show, I'm not even going to get into it. I just love it so much. God likes jazz. God came for the jazz. That's fun. That is so cool. But Tulip, there's a scene at the end when they're talking to Tammy, and you can see Jesse's asking Tulip, should I use Genesis on her to get the information we want? I loved that dialogue. Yeah, I'm just going to jump through around every little portion of this episode because, you've seen it or you wouldn't be watching a review. That was awesome. I love their relationship. I completely buy that they have history, and I think that's a really good thing to show, is that these characters have known each other for a long time, and we're seeing the history be played out. I really love that. The whole scene when there's just the two of them in the hotel room or the motel room, not a big deal, either way. And you can see them there just playing and doing the sex. That was awesome. That's a built-up romance I really did like to see, and how it plays into the next episode, that was really funny too. And when Dominic Cooper punches down that door just to for the foreplay kind of thing, that was like, wow, dude. Just kick down the door. He straight up punched that door to bits. You try punching a door. Nobody can punch a door, okay? Only Preacher can punch a door. That was incredible. This was such a fun, entertaining first episode. Evan Goldberg and Seth Rogen, they directed the first 2 episodes, and there was just so much great visual storytelling. And holy shit, the violence in these episodes. The blood, the gore, just the way everything portrayed itself, the way it looked and just felt, it was so just creepy and gross. I loved it. Everything with the Saint of Killers, is that his name? The Saint of Killers? That's such a hard name. Not that it's a hard name, it just doesn't roll off the tongue. The Saint of Killers. It just doesn't feel right, But whatever, He was cool. Graham McTavish, he's a really creepy, scary guy. I really did like him in here. He's so quiet, so just omniscient, just walking around, just terrifying. He knows how to use a gun, that's all I'm saying. I guess he is from hell, so that, it doesn't really matter. He is kind of just this big, loud guy. I've loved him. Every time he just showed up randomly, and we learn why later, and I really did like him. I thought this could go a few ways. If he just keeps kind of like trailing behind them, I'd get sick of it, because he just keeps showing up randomly, and then, they escape. That's the whole premise. And that was my biggest concern going into this first episode, going into the second one, because he showed up late all the time. They managed to escape, and he had to chase him down again. But they did manage to figure out different ways to use that to their advantage, and I did like that. Cassidy. I like Cassidy a lot. He's a really fun character, really interesting. This is going to be his season. You can tell that just by everything we've seen him do. He feels so bad for what happened with him and Tulip. He wants to tell Jesse. I love that. He's fun. He wants to prove himself to Jesse, be this nice guy. I loved everything about Jesse in this premiere episode. And this was such a fun, interesting premiere. It didn't take us deep into the story like the second one did or give us more information. But this first episode was just so fun and just interesting. We go on the road trip. We're singing Come On Eileen, even though the song is shite. I loved that so much. Because that's what you do. If you're on a road trip with your buds and Come On Eileen comes on the radio, you're going to be like, this song's stupid. But they're going to like, dun, 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 dun. You're going to sing it, Because that's the song. And I loved everything about that. Get to a sleazy motel. But first, we go visit this weird, creepy guy, Mike. He might know where God is. Who knows? Maybe he does know where God is. This is a weird scene. He's locking this girl up in this cage with a blanket over top, and you think like, oh, he's doing something to this girl, something sexual, something bad. But no, this is his training mechanism as a priest to show people, hey, your sins and your bad shit, you don't need that when you're locked in a cage. Get over them. The girl just wants to use her phone for Instagram, for Snapchat, but he's like, no, you're staying in the cage. This was creepy. This was kind of weird. And this is kind of the thing I think that Garth Ennis and Steve Dillon were trying to show when they wrote the comic. If this is part of the comics, let me know. That there's so many material things. And this is part of the deeper symbolism of what it means to be God and be away and pure of everything in life. I think that's what I'm getting from this. And I really did like that. This is another scene where they showed up. They talked to him about God, and I really did like it. But the Saint of Killer showed up late again. Whatever. They got away. Things happen later in the episodes. That's okay. I love the scene when they're all lying in the same bed together, and Dominic Cooper's kind of in the middle. You got Cassidy and Tulip on the side. And, Cassidy just says, if you guys want to have sex, that's fine. In Ireland, things like this happen all the time. It's normal. Go for it. Go crazy. I really thought that was funny. Because Cassidy wants them to be happy together, but he feels guilty. Cassidy was just such a great character in this premiere. And in the second episode, too, he really did shine. I loved it. This was such a fun premiere. Such a great opening to a series I cannot wait to see more of. And just, do we like these people? The three of them, they are definitely our protagonists. But are they likable people? This is something I was thinking about for a bit. Dominic Cooper is Jesse. He's kind of an ass, thinking he's the best, he's the shit, he's the, big guy, knows everything. Tulip's kind of a little more toned down than that, and I did like that. Cassie's just a douche. And the scene when they're in the strip club, and we're having the full conversation of Tammy, and on the screen behind them, you can see Cassidy getting beat up by Doug. I thought that was funny. That was a really great idea. And just when Tammy gets shot from Cassidy, that was so weird. God came for the jazz. And now we continue our mission to find God. What a great first episode this was. It really was a strong premiere. Got me so amped for the next day when we had the second episode. Because that second episode, let me tell you something. This second episode was just brilliant. It was so fun. It was so fresh. It was like nothing I was expecting to see. I thought we were going to get more on the road trip. So, we got to find God. We're losing leads. The Saint of Killer showed up at our motel. He killed all the gun people, the gun aficionados that Jesse told to run. With Genesis, they couldn't run because, the Saint of Killers, he's on a warpath and he's going to take you down. Great scene when they show up into the room and they all see that Amityville, is that what it was called? It was destroyed. It blew up. Everyone's dead. Everyone you love. And we get some great scenes later with Tulip talking about Walter and how he was the only family she had left. And that was a beautiful scene. The show did a great job of going over the top crazy, just balancing that all in with this emotional, heartfelt story about characters that we do like, even though they're kind of assholes. And I did really appreciate that. I wanted a root beer. This fucking scene of the guy who wants a root beer. This was great, because this shows that's what would happen. You know, a guy's completely unobservant to the things going on around him, and he wanted a root beer, but he got ginger ale. I love Cassie's remark. What's wrong with a ginger ale? It's good in your blood. I love that. That was so funny, so cool. Cassie's just so fun. Everything about this character and everything else he does in this episode, I loved him. So, where do we find God? Well, Cassidy might know someone who can help. The great Ganesh? Is something Ganesh. We know Ganesh. Cassidy recognized him right away. I loved this, because you can see it was just a couple of days before the events happened, DeBlanc was killed, and now we're following the story of Fior. Fior, what a cool Fior, just a guy. He looked so awkward, so uncomfortable. He lost his lover. Was it his lover? Did they say it was his lover? He lost his friend. Let's put it that way. He lost his friend. He lost his partner. They shared everything together, and he doesn't know what to do with himself now. He goes to, a casino. He kills himself numerous times, hoping he'll die, and then somehow he randomly turns it into a stage act, and he starts to become the great Ganesh, making money, making people happy, making kids' dreams come true, and then he pushes them away. But you can tell the whole time he's not happy inside. This isn't what he wants. He just wants to be with DeBlanc, and I loved that. This was such a fun story, so creative and just great to watch. Because Fior was a character that nobody thought much of in the first season. Nobody did. And you have this one strong episode with him in it. That was really cool. It made me really happy to see that. It was so fun. You can see how bad people are just for being so happy that this guy's getting killed and then coming back. It's like, what's wrong with humans? This guy literally just got his head chopped off in front of you, and you're just like, oh, cool. This is a great act. Oh, there he is. Whoa. It's ridiculous, isn't it? I was like, that act would get old pretty quick, I think. But what do I know? I'm not a, an entertainmenter. That's not the word I would use to describe it, but that's what I'm going to use. So now we get to this casino hotel thing, and we're on a mission to figure out how we can get Fior to call off the Saint of Killers, because we find out he sent it, and we also find out that Jesse can't use Genesis because it will attract the Saint of Killers to them. What a great idea. This makes Jesse have to decide when he can use it and when he can't. Mission doesn't work. Fior doesn't help them. Cassidy is just, give me 2 hours and 45 minutes and I will get that information you need. Loved this scene. This whole thing with Cassidy and Fior was so Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas that I absolutely loved it. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas is such a bizarre and interesting movie I think everybody should check out. This scene reminded me a lot of that. So many drugs going on here. Oh my god. I can't believe we're showing this on AMC. I guess they did do Breaking Bad. But still, I'm always surprised every time I watch this show, or every time something comes up where there's the huge blood splatter, or, someone's head gets blown up, somebody's head get run over by a van. All that shit. It surprises me still. I don't know why it surprises me still, but just seeing the heroin and the meth and everything that Cassidy and Fior were doing, unbelievable. It was so much drugs, so much booze, and they're just going around having a great time, kicking beach balls, reading Archie comics in a hot tub, just jumping on a bed, having a swell time. It was so funny to watch. It was so cool. And you can tell there's this one great scene near the end where they're eating cereal and Fior and Cassidy finally have this big important moment where, Fior might fall in love with him. And I did like that because he's showing him the connection he didn't have since DeBlanc. And I really liked that scene. It was so powerful and great. And while this is going on, while all this shenanigans is going on here in this hotel room, this Fear and Loathing event, Tulip and Jesse, they're gonna get married. What? What? Oh man, this was so weird because, again, I never read the books. I didn't know they were actually gonna get married or not. I would never have guessed that they would have. interesting concept for your episode 2, because we just set up this whole thing like they just got back together. Are they in love? I like that Jesse's really interested in it because, Tulip doesn't have any more family. He wants her to have family. Let's get married. There's a long wait to get married, and Tulip sees somebody she recognizes, and oh man, it's Gary. Gary, what a cool guy. I liked Gary. I went to commercial before we figured out more about Gary. I want to know more about Gary. He seems pretty cool. Really hope he shows up again. No, because he's dead. Is he dead? Yeah, he's dead. Cassidy probably ate him. We learn a little bit more about Tulip's background, which I really do like. I think we needed to learn a little bit more about her because there's just something that she's just there. We know a lot about Jesse. We know what happened to his father. We know about why he's with Genesis and all that kind of stuff. We know a little bit about Cassidy. Cassidy is someone we don't really need to know a lot about because he's the comic relief. He's the side character. He's just the best. I love Cassidy. So, Tulip, where was she? Talking to Victor, doing that kind of stuff. It really surprised me how fast she was able to take down Gary. What? He's such a big guy. She's so small. Ruth Nega's not a big girl. I mean, how did she take him down so fast? That was so incredible. I loved it. It was so fun, so cool to watch. This was such a great episode again. Everything was just so fun. They don't get married. Ruth Nega's like, no, we're not going to get married. You're right. Marriage is stupid. And then Jesse's like, no, you said that. You're the one who thinks marriage is stupid. Then yeah, I guess I'm right. I like that scene. Very fun, very great. These are the kind of scenes where I think Dominic Cooper and the character of Jesse really shine because they're not using the Genesis. They're not talking about God. They're not trying to find that kind of stuff. They're just having these real human moments with people. I don't know if he actually wanted to get married or he just wanted to try to make Tulip happy. And I really did like that because I feel like he's happy with either decision being made. He just wants her to feel happy and comforted. I really love that about him. It was so fun and so fresh. And we do figure out, is the deal with Fior going to go down now thanks to Cassidy? I really thought it was for a sec. I know the Saint of Killers is a bigger character in the books, and I didn't know how it was going to go down. Again, there's some great directing in this episode, like the whole panning back and forth between the characters when they're talking. The scene at the beginning when the Saint of Killers is reloading his guns and the camera follows the guns, angles upward and downwards, and at a 90 degree, that was beautiful. Beautiful stuff. The standout of this episode, again, I think was Tulip. These first 2 episodes, Tulip really shined. Cassidy and Jesse really shined too, but Tulip, you can really see she really wants to just make Jesse happy, and Jesse wants to make her happy, and I really did like their connection. So, they gotta follow the music, right? You gotta follow the music. Where are they gonna go? God likes jazz. He sure does. God likes jazz. That's all we know about him so far. So, let's go to the City of Jazz. A place where Tulip doesn't want to go, a place where Cassidy doesn't give 2 shites about, and a place where Jesse thinks he's going to find God. We're going to New Orleans. That is the next episode, I think. Maybe it's the journey to New Orleans. I don't know. So, before they leave, Jesse tells Fior, find peace. And he says it like Genesis. And how does Fior find peace? He doesn't call off the Saint of Killers. He doesn't. So, the Saint of Killers is still coming after them. That's really cool. But they kill him. Saint of Killers kills Fior so he can be with the Blanc. That was powerful. I loved that finale. I loved the way that ended. It just made me feel so happy for Fior. Like he finally found peace. He's going to be with the person he loves. I liked that a lot. It was so good and so well done. This show, I tell you, it is such a fun show to watch. It'd be a show I think you could easily binge watch if it was on a different streaming service. It probably, and I really hope it does fill the void of The Walking Dead if The Walking Dead ever ends, because this is such a fun, interesting show with great characters, great cast, just a great story too. And the whole thing about God, it could be sacrilegious at times, but it's handling it in a very good way. And I'm really excited to see where it goes and where it ends. So these first 2 episodes, great premiere to a season that's going to be so fun and so bizarre. And we'll be doing weekly reviews of this show going forward. So let me know what you guys thought of these first 2 episodes of Season 2 of Preacher. I will catch you in the next video. Good luck.